Yo, we're back. Like I said I'd be. All right, we're going to break down tomorrow night's UFC Fight Night, which is going to, hopefully not, but I believe, probably go down as one of the worst UFC cards we'll ever see. Why? Because it's a bunch of fucking duds fighting more duds, man. Fuck. But who knows? You know, maybe people pop out. We're going to start off with breaking down Moicano versus Chris Duncan, former teammates. They've trained a lot together. I don't quite know who to pick. Duncan was kind of, I don't know, kind of saying some wishy-washy things in some of his conferences, talking about their training times and how good Moicano, how good Moicano is, and how much he used to submit him and stuff. And two heavy grapplers. And I believe Chris Duncan's only loss in the UFC. Who is it to? Miguel Torres. I believe he got submitted by Miguel Torres. Let me double check that real quick. And that was one of those fights that was Manuel Torres, not Miguel, Manuel Torres. But yeah, same difference. Just kidding. But yeah, that was a round one submission. And you know, when you think back to that, I just don't understand how this fight's gonna go, because Moicano has really good grappling. He does have some power in his hands. His most two recent wins are knockouts, I believe, but then he ended up losing to Islam. Obviously, I'm not even sure how he ended up in that fight still to this day. Got subbed real easily there. And then Beneil Dariush freaking dog walked him, right? In his last fight. That was a little bit surprising to me. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably take maybe the hotter guy. Chris Duncan's coming off a quick round one submission over Terrence McKinney. We just talked about Terrence McKinney in our last video. You got to take whatever prop you want, but it's got to be in round one. Terrence is either winning in round one or going down in round one. Chris Duncan took him out in round one submission. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be a tight fight. We're gonna watch Chris Duncan and Terrence McKinney. This is sped up. Thank you, UFC, for posting this. Allow me to watch it, please. Yeah, I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. I'd like to say Chris Duncan, just because he's, you know, what have you done for me recently? And Moicano hasn't done anything recently. You see here, Chris can take some damage. I believe Terrence probably throws harder than Moicano. This is Terrence shit right here. Come at you hard, round one. And I remember watching this, and I thought Terrence was gonna do what he does and get another first round finish. But Duncan had other plans. And this is good work here to realize that this guy is just absolutely smothering you and in your face. I got to try to get a hold of him for a second to try to hopefully slow him down a bit. And as you can see, even though Terrence is still, he's still chucking, he's not just absolutely charging. It kind of looks like it because it's sped up, but I promise you he's not like charging as much anymore. And you can see him now getting caught sometimes as well coming in. That's just off of that one little grappling exchange. Boom, big elbow, drops him. Does a good job here taking the back. Still landing blows. Heavy left hooks. Getting underneath the arm. Ref tells Terrence to fight back. I mean, Duncan is just smothering him here. Terrence gets to the feet. Wow, this ref. Is this Goddard? Who's the ref? It is. Goddard was letting this go. Goodness. Oh my gosh, look at that. Holding the head from the left arm and getting all the way underneath with the right arm, throwing uppercuts. Oh, and then there it is. There's the transition. That's a classic little bulldog there in wrestling, but then in jiu-jitsu, you can transition it into a darce. And you wrestlers out there, if you guys get into jiu-jitsu, I promise you, you can make a darce probably one of your greatest moves, because it's A lot of people call it a cow catcher. A lot of people call it a twister. Some states call it a bulldog. I think I actually started as a coach, made up bulldog in my state. I've noticed other teams kind of started taking that lingo. Everybody else was calling it cow catcher, but now they want to say bulldog. But yeah, I mean, Chris can take some damage, so if Moicano puts it on him, I believe Chris could probably take it. And who's the better grappler? Fuck, I just don't know, I guess. I really don't know. I don't like that Duncan just openly admits, like, yeah, Moicano used to submit the fuck out of me in practice. I don't really like hearing that. I also don't know how long ago that was, though. I don't know how long ago they were teammates. I was watching a video that was making it seem like they were still teammates. And I don't know if I misinterpreted it, but the video made it seem like they were training in the same fucking gym at the same time. I was like, huh? And I might be wrong on that, so I don't know. But regardless, he did come out in the press conferences this week talking about Moicano used to kind of dog walk him in the gym. So I don't know. That's a little bit scary, but I think my heart wants to go with Chris Duncan, I believe. Maybe by knockout, maybe by submission. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But moving on to a fight that I think should be pretty easy for Verna. Again, what have you done for me recently? Tabitha cannot beat Jan, but Verna ran through Jan. And I understand Verna obviously just lost, not the belt, but she lost in the championship fight, the vacated belt, against Mackenzie Dern. And what's also interesting is that Tabitha's most recent win is a knockout over Ribas, who in 2021 beat Verna. But that doesn't matter. That was 2021. So when you think about more recently what's been going on, Verna went on a crazy streak. Whooped Jan, submitted Lemos, whooped Godinez, who I believe also beat Tabitha. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Tabitha should be ready for this moment. Verna is a little bit older. I believe she's 38, 39 years old. That's pretty old. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it should be Verna, and probably by submission, I believe. I don't really think I need to even watch anything on that. Like I said, Tabitha lost to Jan in 2024, and Verna probably beat a better version of Jan, in my opinion. So, yeah, we're just going to roll with Verna right off bat with that. And little extra side pick, I would think a submission, in my opinion. So, moving on to, I believe, a motherfucker that's a minus 2,000 favorite or some shit. I don't even know. That's what I heard. I don't know how to say his name. I'm just going to say Abdul the Hunter. Abdul the Hunter is fighting a guy who, we've talked about it before, they have some of those cats on the roster that help keep cats in the roster. And that's who he's fighting, Ribeiro. Yeah. Bredson Ribeiro is not good whatsoever. I think he's has 6 fights in the UFC and 2 wins. He's been knocked out a bunch. He's been submitted. Yeah, I think other dude is homeboys with Hamzat. Yeah, I don't know. It should be probably a pretty quick fight. Probably maybe round 1 submission, round 1 ground and pound knockout for Abdul. I don't think he struggled with weight. He did miss weight the first attempt, and then he made it the second attempt. I don't know if that was a bad weight cut or just really close on weight. I don't know. There was three different weight cut scenarios. 2 people missed weight. Abdul ended up making it on the second attempt. But yeah, I don't know if that was a bad weight cut, but I don't feel like it was. Based on what I've seen in the week up to this, he looks good. He looks healthy. He looks energetic. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he had a bad weight cut. Moving on to another guy who did miss weight, undefeated, 14-0, Rafael. I don't understand how this guy's in the UFC because I believe he's missed weight 3 or 4 times now. Personally, I don't respect that at all. Shout out to all the people that he beat that still decided to take that fight. But I don't know. I think that's a thing. I think that's a trick that some fighters use. I don't necessarily think losing 20% of your purse or whatever it ends up being, I don't think some of them necessarily care. I think we have weight bullies in this kind of game, and I think we have a different version of weight bullies, which are these types of dudes who purposely don't fucking make weight, knowing that the other guy probably is still going to fight anyway, and now I'm going to have an advantage over him. And a lot of times when people miss weight, you know, it's considered, all the guys talk about it, all the commentators talk about it, maybe it was a bad weight cut or whatever. But you got to wonder, man, if you're missing weight that much, if it's just you're making the weight that you want to make, but it's not the weight that you're signed to sign for. And that's what I just don't like. This guy is undefeated and has, I believe, 3 or 4 wins over guys that he weighed more than on the day of the weigh-in. And I just don't think that's right. So I'm personally, now I don't know. I'm not saying Ewing has him. Rafael is grappling heavy, really. But Ewing looked like he had some good grappling versus Malcolm Wellmaker, right? And that was a huge upset for him. Now I believe he's going to be a favorite. Yeah, I don't know. It could kind of become a grappling match, but based on how he looked versus Wellmaker, I'm hoping that Ewing is able to kind of compromise it enough and kind of keep him at a standstill and kind of halt that grappling. And then when they get to the feet, Ewing will probably piece him up. He did have very good striking versus Wellmaker, who also has good striking. Rafael is very boring to watch. Doesn't make weight. Shouldn't be in the UFC. Even if he wins this fight, he should be cut, in my opinion. So we're rolling with Ewing, baby. I'm hoping Ewing a fucking knockout, because get this guy the fuck out of here, man. Do your job the right way or don't be a part of this shit. I think that's a dirty game. I couldn't imagine, you know, in jiu-jitsu or in wrestling, somebody not making weight and the refs just being like, fuck it, you know, it's all right. No, I'd be pissed, bro. I made weight. I cut, you know, so that's not right. I hope he gets schlepped bad. I really do. I hope it's like a walk-off KO. I'm not even going to lie. Moving on to someone I am very excited about is Tommy McMillan, Sugar Sean's teammate, also coached by Tim Welch, obviously. And he's fighting a guy that, I don't understand this dude, Manalo or whatever the fuck. He's got like 2 different fucking names. But this Italian dude is not good, in my opinion. He takes incredible gaps fighting. I believe, you know, I was reading up on something. I believe his dad caught cancer maybe a couple years ago or something. And when his family came to America from Italy, they started to struggle when his dad caught cancer. And then I guess this guy, Manalo, was kind of handling the business that his dad had, which maybe explains like some of the gaps. And then I think he's had some injuries, and there was a certain point where he wanted to take some time off, but then he didn't, and he kept fighting, and then that resulted in him taking more time off or something like that. I don't know. The story seemed weird. It seemed wishy-washy. This guy's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. His last fight was in 2023, and he got knocked out round 1 by Morgan. Not knocked out. He got fucked up with body kicks. But, yeah, I don't know. He's from Italy. I'm not hating, but the best fighter that we've ever seen in the UFC from Italy is Marvin Vettori. And I'm going to be honest, Vettori fucking sucks. So, I'm going to keep it honest. There's certain regions that don't produce fighters. The same way there's certain regions that don't produce good baseball players, or certain regions that don't produce as good as wrestlers, or certain regions that have terrible soccer teams, you know. I think Italy does not produce fighters. This guy showed up to the final fucking face-off with like some wings on his back, like some archangel wings. I don't even know what they were. Tommy looked huge compared to him. Tommy was talking shit to him, telling him he didn't belong here. Tommy almost fucking lost in his Contender Series fight, but he ended up with a comeback win, and it was sick. It was a fucking barn burner. I'm rolling with Tommy. I like Tommy. I like the camp. I like Tim as a coach. I like Sugar Sean. And I just do not think this dude is really a fighter, Manalo. I think he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I didn't fucking like the wings at the final face-off. I don't mind shenanigans and stuff. I don't mind characters, but the dark wings, that shit felt like a furry or something. I don't know. It gave me weird vibes. So yeah, I'm gonna go Tommy McMillan by knockout, maybe submission. Moving on. Should we watch? No, I don't want to watch it. Sorry. And then moving on to two prospects, the first fight to start off the main card, Jose Delano versus Robert Ruchetta. I'm going to be honest. I don't know, man. Yeah. Probably Jose. I think if you look at their records, Jose has fought actual people, and this other prospect has not. So yeah, when we look at Jose Delano, he did, in his Contender Series, he only won by decision, but he fought a guy 13-3. Before that was a fucking dude 0-1. I don't know what that is. 0-2. Maybe I'm wrong. No. Gabriel Santos, 12-2. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. Neither of these guys have really fought anybody that great. I don't know who to pick. You guys got it, bro. I don't know either guys. I don't really care about either guys. You guys got it. Maybe one of them makes me a fan after tomorrow night. We'll see. That's the main card. Moving on to the prelims. We getting through this shit, bro. This is how you know this is a fucking bad card. I'm not even needed to watch fucking videos. Nothing. This is an awful card. UFC, don't make this boxing, please, man. Please don't make this boxing. I was just excited after last week. That's because I hadn't fucking looked ahead. If I knew this was coming after last week, I'd have been like, what are we doing? So, I don't know. Thomas Peterson versus Pat. Thomas Peterson isn't very good. Pat, we don't know yet. He's obviously a prospect, 6-0. Based on how things have gone for Thomas Peterson, though, you'd think maybe he'd get a win. Let's go over his UFC record. Ready? Loss, win, loss, win, loss. So he's due for a win, right? No, I don't think so. Why don't I think so? Because when you look at them, the fucking reach advantage is insane. All right? Pat has an 81-inch reach. Thomas Peterson has a 74-inch reach. I'm going to go with Pat. I feel like they're helping the prospect with a good little fight here to kind of tee off on somebody, and that's who I'm going to take. Because in the heavyweight division, bro, having that big of a reach advantage, holy cows. That's absurd. I mean, that's absurd. So, yeah, Guilherme Pat won at the fight night, Rovell versus Cape. He beat Alan Fry Jr., who's 6-1, who was another prospect. Yeah, we're going to go Pat. That reach advantage is insane, especially in the heavyweight division. And Thomas Peterson just isn't that good, even though maybe he's due for one, because he seems to be going 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. So we'll see. But personally, I'm going to go Pat. Moving on to Costo and Stewart. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't give a fuck about either of them. Personally, I don't think either of them are good. Costa's, you know, he's had his moments. He got knocked out by Amir Abalzi early in 2022. That was his first fight in the UFC. Lost a decision to Steve Erceg. He knocked out Jimmy Flick. He knocked out Kevin Borgas. He got knocked out by Alden Correa. And now we're fighting Stewart, who lost a decision to Lucas Roca. And I believe that's his only fight in the UFC. It is. Oh, no, he has 2 fights in the UFC, both losses. All right. And before that, his most recent win was a guy who is from Japan, 0-1. Okay, so we're going to go with Costa. But yeah, I don't give a fuck about that fight. UFC, please do better. Don't turn this into boxing. This card is ass, man. This is a bunch of fucking 2K created players fighting each other. These aren't real people. Lando versus Darius Flowers. Darius Flowers missed weight. Shouldn't be in the UFC. Lando has been in this bitch since 2016, man. And he's 12-7. So, I mean, that tells you that. He did take some time off. His last fight was in 2023. He lost to Daniel Zellhuber. So this is a long break. Long break. He's old. He's 34. Been in the UFC since 2016. Hasn't had great success. Darius Flowers has lost to Michael Johnson. Has lost to Evan Elder. I don't know what to tell you, man. Neither of those guys seem good. Darius Flowers is coming off of 3 losses in a row since the Contender Series. And we already went over Lando's career. Lando's the vet. He's coming back. Darius probably had a bad weight cut, which is why he missed. And fuck it, we'll go with Lando. I also like the name. Moving on. A very young prospect, Alish Piera, who's only 20 years old. This isn't like Alex Pereira's sister or some shit, right? No, they're not. Okay, I just wanted to double check that. But Alish lost her first fight in the UFC by decision. It was a decently close fight. I don't know. But Haley Cohen is, again, one of those people who is in the UFC to kind of give people that win. I don't even know if this girl has a win in the UFC. Her nickname is All Hail. All Hail! Sound like the SpongeBob movie. Yeah, she has a win in the Contender Series, and then she has 2 losses in a row. Before the Contender Series, she fought somebody who was 2-1. Yeah. We're going to go with the young 20-year-old. I think this is a setup fight for her. And I think it's very cool that she's 20 years old and already up in this bitch. So we're going to go with her. And then we're on to another dead of a fight. Azmat versus Trishan Gore. Trishan Gore probably should not be in the UFC. So I'm going to assume and feel like this is a setup fight for Azmat. He came into the UFC, got 2 knockouts, 2 round 1 knockouts, but then he fought Usari, who is very good, obviously. If you don't know, Usari fought Alex Pereira back in the day in Kickboxing and Glory. Very good competitive fight. I believe Alex Pereira ended up winning by a knockout, but it was competitive, and they might have fought multiple times. I don't know. But Usari, we just saw him put the works on Mansour Malik, so obviously bro is good. I don't think that's to take anything away from Azmat, and he's fighting now Trishan Gore. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that at all. It should be Azmat, probably by knockout. Trishan will try to just grapple and wrestle a lot, most likely. Somehow he's a heavy grappler and he gasses every time. I don't know how that works. You shouldn't be gassing if you're a wrestler. And he's also lost to Brian Battle. Brian Battle has to be one of the worst people to ever come into the UFC. And there's proof of that because he's now not in the UFC, and I believe he lost his first fight outside of the UFC, like first MMA fight. I think he did like a dirty boxing fight, but his first MMA fight, I believe last week actually, he lost by knockout or submission or some shit. So, yeah, if you're losing to Brian Battle, I don't believe in you at all. He's 6-4. I really don't know how Trishan Gore is in the UFC at all. It's quite compelling to me. And maybe after this one, he won't be anymore. We'll see. And then moving on to Dion Barbosa versus Melissa Gatto. I'm going to be honest. I don't give a fuck about either of them. And I don't even think I want to pick a fight. I don't know, man. Melissa's all right. She's not entertaining. And she's been in the UFC since 2021. Got in 2021, 2 knockouts she won by, and then she lost a decision to Tracy Cortez in 2022. She lost a decision to Ariana Lipski in 2023. She knocked out Tamedas Vidal in 2024. Didn't fight in 2025, and now she has Dion Barbosa. Dion Barbosa is actually older, but she was an Olympic athlete at one point. What did she do in the Olympics? I kind of forgot. I had looked up earlier, but now I kind of forgot. Let's see. I don't know. Everything I keep maybe judo? Everything I keep reading, it just says former Brazilian Olympic team member. I'm going to assume judo or something. But she's actually older. But if she was working on Olympic time, you know, that makes sense. It's only every other 4 years, so those people kind of get older pretty quick if they decide to go into another profession. She lost to Karine Silva, but she beat Diana Balita by a submission in round 1. And she did land 3 or 4 takedowns against Silva, but she got outstruck. And Karina Silva actually threw up a couple submission attempts. So yeah, I really don't know, man. Gatto took some time off. Maybe it was well needed. Dion Barbosa is, I believe, a judo Olympic team member, so she's gonna have good grappling. I don't know. You guys can pick. I really don't care about that fight at all. A lot of these fights I don't care about, but that one, I really couldn't care less. Moving on to the last fight, which actually is the first fight, because it's the first fight of the prelims, is Kai Kamaka versus Dakota Hope. Dakota Hope is a young prospect, but I believe in Kai Kamaka only because Kai has actually fought really good people. He fought Diego Brandoa. He lost, but Diego is a scrapper. You know, he's lost to Brandon Lohane, who's 30-6. He's knocked out Joshua Weems, who's 11-4. He won a decision over some dude who was 0-4. I don't understand how those fucking fights happen, bro. He beat Henry Corrales, 21-8. He beat Bubba Jenkins, who's 21-9. He's fought people that, you've heard of, or maybe you've heard of. But when you go over to Dakota Hope, before the Contender Series, actually not, sorry, he didn't fight on the Contender Series. He just came from Fury, so they must really believe in this guy. But his most recent win in Fury is over Mauricio Gomez, who's 0-1. All right, so I don't know what that means. Before that was Damian Nelson, who's 9-5. Before that was Jeremy Henry, who's 0-1. And before that was Huang Lu, who's 0-1. Before that, for a championship, was Milko Tukto, who's 6-4. All right, so I think it's safe to say Kamaka has definitely the experience and has fought the more well-rounded people. So I'm going to go with Kamaka on that one. That's my full breakdown to what will probably be the biggest dud the UFC has ever put on before. We got to do better, man. We got to start setting up some better fights. We got to stop fishing so much for prospects and focus on who's in the shit. I almost feel like we're adding too many fighters to the roster. I don't know if that's really what's happening, but it feels like we're doing so much now to get these prospects that we're running into this thing where the big fighters, the guys in the rankings, just aren't fighting enough. And these prospects, I don't feel like I've really even seen. We don't have anybody that exciting, right? We really don't. It's been a while since we've had a real exciting guy from the Contender Series. It's been a while since we've had somebody come from a regional scene and just really blow up right away. I guess kind of like Paddy Pimblett. I don't know. I don't know. It feels watered down. It feels watered down. It feels like some of these matchups don't mean anything. But I guess at the same point, with these prospects, with these younger cats, what else are you supposed to do? You can't just go throw them. There's not always a vet to go throw them. And you can't always just go, obviously, throw them some fucking dude in the rankings. So we're having a lot of prospects versus prospects matchups, which is cool, I suppose. It's just when the Contender Series was made, it's like that's what the Contender Series was for. And it felt like they were picking out better regional scene fighters, and then they were fighting each other to see, okay, who deserves this contract. But those guys, it's not like I just don't remember all these types of people coming from the Contender Series or coming from the regional scenes, and they just have so many fights against dudes who are 0-1 or 2-3. Like, I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm forgetting. I don't know. But it felt like when the Contender Series was first coming up, it was really good prospects versus a really good prospect to see, okay, who definitely has a spot in the UFC. But now it feels like we're getting like kind of prospects versus each other, and will they survive in the UFC? And as we saw, we go through a lot of records. These guys they win a fight in the Contender Series, and then they go like 0-2 right away in the UFC. Was that somebody who was ready? Like, I don't know. Sean O'Malley didn't do that. I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess. I am excited for Tommy McMillan, and he did come from the Contender Series, and he did have a barn burner in that fight, and it was exciting enough for Dana to give him a contract. He survived the fire. If you haven't seen that fight, go watch Tommy McMillan's fight in the Contender Series. It was a crazy one. Almost gets finished in round 1, comes all the way back, and wins a decision. So I am excited for him, and he is from the Contender Series. But other than that, man, there's not a lot of prospects I'm into. There's not a lot of guys from the Contender Series that I even believe in. The most recent one, maybe off the top of my head, that I could kind of really believe in was probably like Bo Nickel, and we saw what happened there. So I don't know, but it feels too watered down, and I want something to be done about it. I want Dana to start giving a fuck about the UFC again, and I want this to really start to become the best organization again, because I'm not gonna lie, you can start to look at some other fights and be interested in them. You could look at other organizations and definitely be interested in them. UFC is not yet, but it feels like it's slowly maybe making its way to number 2 and not top dog. So we got to do something about that, Dana. All right? But that's all I got. Drop a like. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Let me know if you think I'm right. Let me know who you're rolling with. And let me know if you think that this card is, like, watered down as fuck and that the UFC is kind of becoming boxing in a way where we just have a lot of guys fighting guys we just don't know. And when you look at their records, they're fighting dudes you definitely don't know because they're fucking 0-1 or something. So, I don't know. That feels like boxing. A lot of those boxers have 30 fights of guys who are in that range of less than 10 wins and 30 fucking losses. I don't want that for the UFC, man. I don't. So let me know. Let me know if you guys think I'm right on that take, or let me know if you guys think I'm just waffling about some shit. I appreciate you for tuning in. Subscribe, click the notification bell so you can know when I drop my next video. And we're going to keep getting after this shit. Peace.